quote he uses to prove that you're denying racism is from the first segment of the first show after the shooting. So, again, less than 12 hours after the actual shooting. Now, during that hour, information started leaking out about this guy, and they finally did release his name. I think it was right around our top of the hour news break. So the name comes out, and a little bit more about him. Some of the Facebook posts start leaking out. And you say, in the very next segment, so the same show they pulled this quote from, the first segment after we find out the name of the shooter, you say, quote, looks like we have the name now of the killer, and we have some Facebook posts. It looks like he is a straight-up racist. Literally, the first opportunity after being aware of who this person was or any information about him, you call him a straight-up racist. And there's a column in the Miami Herald today, 5 or 6 days later, where they accuse you of denying racism. They also did not include that, of course, in the column that you made those comments the next hour, immediately after finding out about any of his background and his name.
That doesn't fit his agenda.
Yeah.
Which he clearly has.
See,
This
guy has had 5 days
Pathetic.
to have him and his editors verify the information to make sure it's accurate.
Us. Hey, did Glenn ever refer to this as racism? Check our website. Right. Check
See
the
what we have done.
Watch the show.
See
They're all available.
anything.
Oh, that would be journalism.
This guy
Mm-hmm.
has taken
They've got
something
no interest
probably
in that.
from like Media Matters.
Sure.
Probably.
And all he's done is written now an entire article around a piece. He is so lazy around a piece that somebody else culled for him.
Yeah, and again, I guess I don't want to violate his principles here, which is we should just immediately jump to the first conclusion that comes to our mind. But it could be laziness. It could be incompetence.
It could be agenda.
It could be malice.
Yeah.
An intent to smear your character. Intentionally misleading the audience to make you look bad as if you're not doing this. Because not only did he not include the quote from the next hour where you said he was a straight-up racist, he didn't include the quote from the hour after that where you said we have a pretty good idea he was a radical racist. He didn't include the quote from the next day's show, we have race problems all around the country. Was this guy a bad racist? You bet he was. So you identified him as a racist over and over and over again. At no point did you shy away from calling him a racist. The only time you even allowed for another possibility was before we knew who he was. And even then, you indicated the first possibility being racism. That was your first thought that it actually was racism. So were you supposed to definitively conclude about his motives before we knew anything about him? Because I'm interested if the Miami Herald holds that standard.
Before they even caught the guy.
Yeah, before they caught him. Or before they even released the name to try to catch him. So does the Miami Herald have that standard? Is that how they run their organization?
Yes.
Do they say, hey, here's our first thought of a possibility of the outcome of this case. Let's run with it with no qualifiers and no belief that it could be anything else. Let's not add any information.
Yes, because
Seems like that's the
that's what
standard.
they've just done to me.
Right. And except in this case, they did have the information.
Yes.
They had all the other side of the story. They could have looked through the transcripts. I didn't look through and look at the other hosts they accused of doing this, but I imagine those are just as faulty as this one. I think it's worth an organization going through all those examples and seeing how many errors there are. And I would like to see if the Miami Herald is going to step up and add a correction or a retraction of the entire column because, I mean, it's shameful. And it's embarrassing for the Miami Herald if they care. I don't know. Maybe they've given up. They're in the newspaper industry. Maybe it's time to shut the place down and they've just given up. Maybe they don't have any editors on staff. Maybe they don't have any journalists there anymore. Maybe at some point they did. But clearly now they don't. If they don't correct this, he's accusing you of denying the racist motivations of this guy when your first opportunity you called him a straight-up racist. Could you have been any clearer than that? But some guy runs to some left-wing website, pulls a quote, doesn't check on it at all. Think about this if you work at the Miami Herald. You're employing this person to do this.
Call the attorneys for me. Because now, I mean, I'm just tired of it. And this is clear. Call the attorneys and get a retraction from the Miami Herald. Get a correction. They should pull that.
At least you're part in it.
I mean, they've smeared me, And it is either in absolute incompetence. I mean, look, it's one thing to make a charge on somebody and say, hey, here's the deal. And you have good evidence. You have good evidence. They had no evidence because all of the evidence leads the other direction. So this is just a bad smear job.
It is.
Call the attorneys.
And they have, by the way, if you want to go to the Miami Herald Facebook page, they've posted this column. I guess they're proud of it. So I would love to see that place, that story light up with comments. And again, go to my Facebook page and post it on there. Post the evidence there, so they don't even have to go anywhere for it.
Here's the reason why this is important. This is important because we are, you've listened to us. We're leading something that says all lives matter. We got to come together. We have to battle the truth. We have to battle the truth against power. And what they're doing is trying to put us into this little box. And when I say us, I mean anybody who follows us. Put us into this little box of racist hate mongers. We have to start standing up for one another. We have to start saying that's not who we are.